Hi everyone, this is Teacher Kate, and for today's lesson blog, I'm gonna teach you the different models of communication that explains and illustrate how the process of communication works. So let's go! So basically, there's a lot of models of communication that I can share with you, but I'm only gonna share with you 7 types of communication models because this is based from the DepEd's Oral Communication in Context Quarter 1 Module 2, the various models of communication. So you can read the ADM itself, or you can just watch this blog because I already summarized it for you. So the first model of communication is from Aristotle. Listen to the pronunciation. Aristotle, not Aristotle, okay? So the first model of communication is from Aristotle, and as we all know, Aristotle is a teacher of rhetoric and the founder of academy that produce good speakers, and he came up with the first and the earliest model of communication. This one. So this model is more focused on public speaking and interpersonal communication. The speaker plays a very important role in the public speaking so that he can influence and persuade his audience. The second one is the transactional model. Here, there is an exchange of messages between the sender and the receiver where both take turns in sending and receiving messages. The roles of the both communicators reverse each time in the communication process. This is also called the circular model of communication and is used for the interpersonal communication. Examples of this is the everyday talk and interactions. Of course, you need to have a common social and cultural systems, and relational situations can communicate with one another more effectively. The third communication model is the Shannon-Weaver model of communication. Ta-da! Claude Shannon and Warren Weaver introduced the concept of noise. This is also known as the telephone model, for this is based on experience of using the telephone back in 1940s, wherein the message was hindered by the noise. Hence, the message received by the listener was not necessarily the message sent by the sender. The Shannon-Weaver model of communication contains 6 important features. The first one is the sender. The originator of the message or information source selects and decides. Second, the encoder. The transmitter, which converts the message into the signals. The third is the decoder. The reception plays of the signal, which converts signal into the message and reverse process and encode it. And then the receiver, the destination of the message from the sender. And the fifth is the noise. The message are transferred from the encoder to the decoder through the channel. During this process, the message may be distracted or affected by the physical noise like horn sounds or thunder, or even the crowd noise, and etc. So to give you a Shannon-Weaver model of communication, I'm here with my nephew, Led, to show you how it is. Hello, Led.
Hi Ninang Kate, we're gonna order in McBee fast food resto. What do you like? Hello?
Oh, I like spaghetti, cheeseburger,
Hello?
pineapple, less ice cream, and ice cream. Hello?
Okay Ninang, I'll order spaghetti and ice cream.
So due to the transmission error or the noise, Yumi was not able to understand my whole message, okay? And this is the picture of Shannon-Weaver communication model. Fourth communication model is Cram model of communication. Wilbur Scrum is known as the father of mass communication. He came up with 5 different models of communication, but in 1995 he introduced the communication breakdown. He explained it, and he asserts that both the sender and the receiver should have the same field of experience. When we say field of experience, it refers to everything that makes an individual unique, everything that he or she has learned, watched, seen, or heard, or even studied. So, in this model of communication, there are 6 elements, and it goes like this. The 5th is Eugene White model of communication. Eugene White's model of communication says that communication is a circular and continuous without a beginning nor an ending. His 1960 cyclical model, the communication process is composed of 8 stages: thinking, symbolizing, expressing, transmitting, receiving, decoding, feedbacking, monitoring, and thinking. It's fine because I repeated thinking twice. So sorry. Cut. Anyway, he also points out that although we can assume that communication begins with the thinking, it can also be observed that from any points in the circle, White was also the one who introduced the concept of feedback, which is also a process close to the loop. Sixth is Berlow's model of communication. I told you a while ago that Aristotle's model of communication places the speaker in the central position and the one who drives the entire communication process. But in Berlow's model of communication, he takes into account the emotional aspect of the message. So for the Berlow's model of communication, it is composed of several factors under each element. Develop this SMCR with S for source, M for message, C for channel, and R for receiver. The source is where the message originates. The content of the body is the message itself. The C stands for the channel. It refers to our 5 senses: hearing, seeing, touching, smelling, tasting, the 5 senses that help the human beings to communicate with one another. And then the R is for the receiver. The message reaches the receiver and he tries to understand what the receiver is trying to convey. So this is also called as decoding. And lastly, the helical communication model. It was developed by Frank Dance in 1967, and he thought that communication is just like a helix. Do you know what is a helix? So, helix is a smooth cave-like spring that goes upwards and downwards. This model presents the concept of time with consciousness of the communication process is very important. The helical model of communication is dynamic process. Communication progresses as an individual gets older and his experience and vocabulary increases. So those are the 7 models of communication that I shared with you, and as a quick review, we discussed Aristotle's model of communication, transactional model of communication, Shannon-Weaver models of communication, Scrum model of communication, Eugene White's model of communication, Berlow's model of communication, and lastly, helical model of communication. So I hope you learned something today, and see you in my next video.